Hey, what's up, guys? It's Caslow here. We're just going to show you guys a quick tutorial today about how we go about recording guitars for like EDM music and stuff like that.
Alrighty. Okay. So first things first, before you do anything, any direct in or anything, make sure your guitar is nice and tuned and you have that perfect before you even start recording because you don't want to have to redo it if it's detuned. Um, so first things before you actually even plug in and start recording as well, you want to make sure you have, so all your electric guitars, if you're recording an electric guitar, make sure that you know what all the volume knobs on it does for the pickups and everything because each one has a different tone. So for the one that we're doing today, on my guitar, I have a jazz guitar, so I have three separate um, what is it? Sorry, pickup switches. So mine's going to be far left, which is both pickups. If you change it, and actually, I'm going to mute myself so you guys can hear, but you'll hear the difference in each tone while I switch from each pickup. So, first one, we got the second one, and then we got the third one. So there's all different sounds that come from each one. I don't know if Instagram's going to pick this up, but yeah, the one I'm on right now has a much lower and thicker sound, so that's why I'm using it. But that being said, the next thing, so we're gonna be going direct into our audio interface into the DAW, and you can use an amplifier too, which we've done in the past for like our Arm and Hammer remix and such. Just depends on what you're doing, but we switched to using the Apollo by UAD because it's super clean and it just sounds really nice. So that's what we're going to be using for this. But when you go directly into your DAW, you want to make sure that you have the volume and the gain set correctly. You don't want it to be quiet where you have to really turn the gain up on the amplifier when you're processing it. And you don't want to have it too loud that it clips when you're recording because then that's going to be a hassle and you're going to want to redo that recording if it does clip. So make sure if you look at our level here in the meter, we're about middle way between loud and quiet. So we have some gain to work with and some volume. That way we can keep some sort of dynamics.
Cool.
Brody.
Cool. Yeah. I guess he'll just quickly record something. So maybe mute the mic and
All right.
take a few takes or something.
Let's see who knows this song. All right, boom. Okay, so here we go. If you look actually at the waveform, it's not super loud. It is kind of quiet, but it's not super loud, which most importantly, you don't want to mess this up. So if it is too quiet, I suggest redoing it because you don't want to, again, have any hiss or any sort of just annoying frequencies that come out when you boost it with a gain knob or something in the actual amplifier when we get to that. So make sure you do record this correctly. If you got to adjust the volume post recording, totally fine, but you don't want to do too much. So for EDM, it's you want to try to be on time as best as you can. So if you don't do it right the first time recording it, do it again because it'll be easier in the long run and it will sound better with your track. But if you can't do that and you're just maybe not a great player or whatever, you can always go into, most DAWs have it, it's like flex time, and you can flex the audio to be perfectly on time. You won't really hear a difference. You won't hear anything go wonky or sound wonky. It's pretty on time usually. So if you have to make a slight adjustment, you can do that. But we're just going to say that this is good for this tutorial. All right, so we got that recorded. Let me unplug my stuff. And let's move on to the next thing. All right, so make sure this is out the way. All right, so let's see what we got. So there we go. There's our sample that we're going to be using for this. First things first. So I like to separate the processing into two different. We're going to have the preamp, and then we're going to have the amplifier. So the preamp is what we're going to do first. If you're using like a UAD or an Apollo audio interface, you can actually run your guitar through like their preamp and then have it record directly into your DAW, but I prefer doing it this way so I can tweak it to fit a mix, perhaps, or whatever you're going to be doing. So I'm gonna actually load up THU, which is it actually comes with a Slate Digital. What is it called, Brody? The subscription thing that you do.
Yeah, it's just the Slate Digital everything bundle,
which is great. All right, so I'm gonna use this one. It's actually a tube preamp that they would use in like the 60s and such. It just warms up your guitar and actually has a very smooth, silky sound to it. So first thing first, I'm just gonna turn on the loop so we can hear what we're gonna be doing. And we're just going to mess with some of these knobs. So definition brings out a lot of the highs. So I'm going to keep that up about there. Not much. Add a little bit of compression. You don't want to add too much just yet, but just a little bit. Clarity. We'll keep the clarity about midway. And then, so we're going to have other options here on this one. We have tube shape, tube bias, and such. These are essentially going to add some harmonics into your guitar. So be wary of how much you add. It is a preamp, so you can crank it a little bit, but you don't want to have too much distortion going on. So we are going for like a clean sounding guitar. So just adding enough where you don't really notice it is probably a good starting point. So probably somewhere around there. And then we're just going to turn up the presence a little bit. All right, so boom, right there. There's our preamp. You can also use some of these other ones, but this is just preference here that we're using. You can also use the stock Logic one. They have some good ones in there, but I'm just familiar with the Slate, so we're just using this one.
Oh, you got to go mono stereo on this one.
You're right. Thank you.
Reverb.
Very good point. So actually, Brody made a good point. So when you are running your guitar, and it is a mono signal, of course, so when you do load up your plugins, the preamp doesn't matter as much. But when you're loading up, like if you're adding an amplifier and such, you want to make sure that it is on stereo mode. That way, if you do add reverb and such, you will obviously get the stereo width of it versus it being in mono. What did we use last time? Let's just use this one. Actually, one sec. Let's not load this up. One sec. Wrong one. Let's toss that in the trash. First off, let's actually go in and add a little bit of, let's see, compression. Let's just go look for compressor. Add a VCC. Let's turn this level down a bit. Turn up the sustain just a tad. Very little compression. Not a lot. Now let's go to the amplifiers. Coming next up. Let's toss in just like this clean one right here. And let's see. So now if you can hear off the bat, I don't know if you can hear this, but there is a little bit of hiss. Probably want to hear on Instagram, but if you hear a hiss, that's what amplifiers are going to do. Obviously, you're amplifying the sound. So we'll fix that as we go. But if it gets too harsh when you are doing this yourself, you're going to want to back up on this gain knob and try to find a decent threshold where you don't get too much hiss. But it's impossible to get rid of all the hiss when you're actually amplifying a guitar. So off the bat, this doesn't sound bad, so I'm going to keep it about right where it's at. I'm going to keep it about right there. So one other extra step you can do, but we're not going to do it for this tutorial, is you can go in and actually add in a cabinet, like one of these. And it does help because you can actually, we'll just go over it really quick. If you were to add this in, there are dual mics, which you can also turn on and off, which allow you to kind of change the tone a little bit. If you were to think of an actual rock band being recorded, they'll record the amplifiers with their mics. That way they can actually pick up the sound and change the tone with the mic itself. So it's, whatever you like to do. We're not going to do it for this tutorial, but you can do that if you like. So what is next? We're going to go into, scroll down. We're going to add actually
any types of chorus or anything like that, or
yeah, we'll do some chorus. Yeah, that's right. That's actually what we're going to do. We're going to do chorus, and we're going to add in the CHR5 and the chorus. So first we'll start off with this one. This one's just a little bit of like widening, essentially almost like chorus, but it's a little bit different. But we're just going to start with this one. It's just going to widen the top end a little bit, so you can actually change if you want the low end to be affected or the high end, but we're not going to have this one affected too much, so we're going to keep this about somewhere in the middle, but we are going to boost the high. So, oops. And then turn the depth down about somewhere about from 18 to like 25%, somewhere around there. All right, then let's go actually add in some chorus. Let's load up wave chorus. There are a couple options in here, which ones you want to use, but we're just going to use this one. Let's go down to about 18% for the LFO depth on the chorus. And actually,
turn the mix down maybe.
Let's turn the mix down about 25%. So for a clean guitar like this, and for I guess like just EDM kind of things, like if you hear a lot of like the Zed guitars, you don't really hear the chorus effect, so you want to tone back the mix quite a bit. That way you don't hear the like vibrato going on and like all the different frequencies kind of, essentially almost phasing out. So keep it at a low mix, so that way you don't hear that really weird whoa 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 going on. So right about there is good. Finally, let's add some reverb on the reverb. So if anybody does know this guitar chord progression thing, you're gonna know what we're going for. So we're gonna try to make it sound like potions actually, just for this tutorial. So let's increase the reverb a little bit, the time. You can adjust the color if you like, if you are using the slate one, but it depends on how your guitar sounds after you've done all the processing. You shouldn't really have to mess with this that much. But yeah, let's just keep tweaking this a bit. Let's go up. We're going to get a nice little atmospheric kind of guitar like we normally do. So about there is good. Let's actually increase just the wetness a little bit, the time. Let's try there. Okay, so we've got our amplifier, we got our everything, all that done. Preamp, amplifier, and the effects are done. So last thing you're gonna want to do, and this is actually probably the most important part. So compressing the overall signal is gonna smooth out the
reverb.
The overall, the reverb's gonna smooth out the reverb and smooth out your guitar, because now you're also compressing the reverb a little bit, so it's just gonna make it sound that much just filled in and more. What's the term I'm thinking of?
Like glued together.
Yeah, glued together. There you go. There's the term. All right, so let's see. Let's go somewhere about 1 to 2 dBs of reduction. And let's keep that on about somewhere on a slow attack. I'm not trying to kill the transient. And then same thing, a little bit slower on the release, because you don't want to really hear this. You want it to glue it. So a little bit slower on the attack and release. So that's it right there. It's pretty good. Now the last thing you're going to want to do, and this is if you are, of course, working on a track and you're trying to mix this in. Obviously, you're going to need your EQ, trust EQ. So let's see what frequencies we got going on and see if there's any resonance. So this one right here, I'm just going to take this down a little bit. So then that would be it. Just take a little bit of this out, and then obviously everything else that you're going to want to ever tweak, besides cutting stuff here, you're going to want to go back into the amplifier and do that yourself. But minor dips all through EQ. What's up?
Just saying that like before the compression, if you want to also add delays into the guitar, that'd probably be where you'd want to do that then.
Yeah. You want to, yeah, probably do that all in the amplifier itself.
Yeah, it's better to run your delays through the reverb, so that way they don't sound, so everything's in the right space.
Mm-hmm.
It'll sound
Good
weird
point.
if you have delay after a reverb.
Yeah, that's smart right there. Yeah. So yeah, you can do that too. Add delay in here if you like into your amplifier, whatever you're processing in there. But yeah, of course, that's probably about it. I mean,
Yeah, that's
it's
kind
pretty
of
simple.
generally how we go about doing the guitars for our tracks. So
And I mean, every track you do, you're gonna want to kind of work around the same processing, but we always do it a little differently in every track. So this is a generic way of recording it and putting it into a track before you tweak it and get your own sound with it. But
yeah,
that's that.
cool guys. Hope that you guys learned something from this, and we're gonna try to do more tutorials for you guys. It's just we're busy, but yeah. Hope to see you guys again soon.
Sounds good.
Peace out, guys.
All right, see ya.
I'm keeping that in there. Yeah, I'm definitely keeping that in there.